And we're back. I'm Paul Fabrizio.
And I'm Don Frazier, and we're going through the Constitution line by line. And we're making our way through it. You know, this is a useful exercise because I don't think that the majority of Americans, I almost said vast majority, but I don't want to judge,
I would say the vast majority.
have ever read the Constitution and certainly haven't thought about it line by line.
That's right.
So we're doing the heavy lifting for you.
And there's probably something crazy about this, but I think this is an exercise in democracy.
This is an exercise in democracy. So that's
So
why we think
beautiful.
this is important.
All right.
All right, so what's our line?
Okay, we're in Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and, with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. I like that.
They can toss one out. That's kind of what happened right after the Civil War. I made reference to it in the last segment, but tossing out people that they don't like, yeah, we've done that in the past.
We have expelled members, and what it is sometimes there's a conflict between what a district wants and what the House thinks is appropriate. And so the House has certain decorum, certain patterns of behavior, certain people it thinks belong. But
The right sort.
the right sort. And even the People's House, even the House of Representatives has that. This
Sure.
idea that you have to earn it to be there.
Yeah.
But my God, the American people sometimes elect interesting individuals.
We do.
We do. We have elected people who've been arrested. We have elected people who are indicted.
We've elected people who thinks that Guam will flip over if you put the troops on the wrong end of the island. Absolutely.
Okay, and that is the beauty of democracy. You know, we don't want to talk about it. You know, usually you go back to the framers of the Constitution.
Yeah.
You go back to the ancient Greeks when they talked about democracy.
Yeah.
They all talked about it as philosopher kings and all these
Yeah,
smart people.
Plato,
But-
the Republic.
But the reality is that most of us don't achieve that level of intellectual brilliance.
Sure.
Most of us are pretty average people. And as a consequence, sometimes we elect average sorts of people.
We've had fistfights
We have had fistfights.
on the floor of the House.
We have. So,
And guns drawn.
yes.
And blades pulled.
Yes.
And, people beat to death nearly
Almost.
with walking sticks.
Yes. Yeah, so there's been tension, and there's been people who haven't been the epitome of self-control and self-discipline. So one of my
Or the right
favorites.
sort.
That's right.
I mean, some people thought David Crockett of Tennessee
Was-
was not the right sort.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Was he too, rough-hewed?
Well, he was a lot less homespun than people let on. So people said, oh, man, we got some sort of backwoodsman coming here, and he probably won't be able to ride his R's, go in the right direction, things like that. But he turned out to take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And,
I saw the movie.
well, of course, because if it was in a movie, it must be so.
Yes, exactly. So, I think about Jim Traficant,
No, that's immediately who comes to my mind.
congressman from Ohio. What do you mean, who's that? Congressman from Ohio. He ended every speech with, "Beam me up, Scotty," from Star Trek.
Nice.
Okay? And he eventually got busted, ended up in jail.
Busted for what?
I believe bribery, but don't quote me on that.
Ah,
Just because we're sending it out
Yeah.
over the airwaves and
just
stuff.
because we're the professors in this.
But he got in trouble, and, it was one of those people, is this the type of person that we want representing people? And in certain states, you can serve in elected office even if you're busted, even if you're convicted, even if you're in jail. And there have been people who have been in prison and running for office, getting elected for office, or simply refusing to quit after.
Just because they're in the big house.
Yeah, exactly. After they've been elected, why should they leave that office? Okay?
Yeah.
California last year elected an indicted guy, Duncan Hunter. Okay? He's indicted for all sorts of things involving money and campaign money, illegal use of campaign money, mixing campaign money and personal money, that sort of stuff. Anyway, He was indicted, charged with these crimes. So was his wife. And yet the people elected him again.
Wow.
Okay? Now, can the House or the Senate kick people like that out if they want to? And the answer is yes,
According
they
to the
can.
Constitution, they most certainly can.
They can
So how do
decide
people like that get elected is the question I have.
because the voters liked them. Or
Or
the opponent.
was just so bad.
It was so bad. I'd rather elect the indicted guy than this person.
You know, in a recent election in Louisiana,
Okay.
There
Louisiana always has great politics.
always has good
I love
political stories.
Louisiana.
And
Edwin Edwards. Look
well,
him
that's
up
what I'm
sometime.
about to talk about.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
not
so,
him.
You know, David Duke was running against him, and he's a former Grand Dragon of the KKK, running against Edwards. And the bumper sticker down there was "Better a lizard," because he was so slimy, than a wizard. So yeah, sometimes it's a choice of the evil of two lessers.
Yeah. Ooh, very good.
Yeah.
So the Constitution allows the House and the Senate to decide if they want to keep their members there. They can discipline them by censure,
Yeah.
or they could even expel them,
But
and
it
that
takes
takes 2/3.
2/3. That's
That's-
a bunch of folks to line up.
Yeah, and you think about it in a very partisan place like Congress, the idea that you can get 2/3 to agree on anything, and if 2/3 would agree to kick somebody out, that tells you how bad,
How reprehensible they are.
yeah, that behavior they were doing.
So what's censure do?
Censure just is a slap on the wrist.
So it's in your
But-
permanent file like in
Yes.
high school?
Yes, or when you have a job or something like that, and it goes in your personnel file. You are censured. You are told you did something wrong, and the whole sense of the House, the sense of the Senate, is that you have done something wrong. There's also the ability to take someone down in the sense that someone could lose their speaking privileges for a period of
That may be one of the disciplinary actions. that take
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a variety of things that they can do. And the reality is you, when you're elected, you are a representative of the people who elected you. So
place. All
it is,
750,000 of them.
or in the case of the Senate, whatever the size of your state is. So you are their representatives. So it is a big deal if you lose your speaking privileges for a short time, or your wrist gets slapped, or you get kicked out.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a huge deal because your colleagues are taking away representation from a good chunk of Americans, and they don't want to do that lightly.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that the framers put all of these sort of mechanics into place because they probably had an idea of what was coming.
You wonder if, as they were writing this, they looked around at their colleagues who were there, the framers of the Constitution. They go,
Sure.
well, I think that guy from Georgia, we might need this if he ever gets in Congress.
Or if
Or
they're
that guy
reading-
from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, sure. Or they're reading the London Times and they're saying, wow, I can't believe that the houses of Parliament
Yes.
are doing these sorts of shenanigans.
Right.
So,
Right. So they left power in the hands of their collective body.
to self-police.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. All right, so that's our line.
That's our line.
All right, well, that's a pretty interesting housekeeping line again. So we will see what the next line in the Constitution is in the next segment.
Can't
Thanks for
wait.
watching. Yeah.